Praise the Lord, everybody. This is Brother Demar Malone. There's a quick concept or a quick thought that dropped into my mind and my spirit the other day, and I kind of was too busy to do the video at the time. And so, just a few minutes before I go back to evening service, I just felt compelled to record this right now. Um, we want to talk about broken promises, and we want to talk about from a different aspect, maybe than what many of us kind of look at broken promises from. So, let's turn in our scriptures. We're going to read real fast, and then we'll get out of your way. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 9, and then we'll read a little bit in chapter 1. So, we're going to start in verse 9. We'll probably read 9 and 10, and then we'll just start. And it says, So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by the post of the temple of the Lord, and she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore. 11 says, And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look upon the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And I think we'll jump down to 20. In 20 it says, Therefore it came to pass, when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. The Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and doing of his word. This passage of scripture is a very common story. It's talking about a woman by the name of Hannah. And it talks about how she was teased and she was mocked because she wasn't able to produce a son. And she went into the temple and she began to pray and she began to ask the Lord for something. And she was in bitterness. She was asking the Lord with all of her heart. And she was truly reaching out from her heart and her soul and her mind, asking the Lord of something. And the Lord, she wanted a son. She wanted a man child. She said, and if you will give me this thing, if you will bless me, then I'll give you this, and that. I'll give him back to you. No razor will go over his head. He will be an offering to you. And we know the story of how she ended up giving her son back to the Lord. He became a great man of God for the children of Israel. He's the one who eventually installed the first king. I mean, he was just... he installed King David. I mean, he's just an amazing pillar for the biblical scripture. It's the reason why we have 1 Samuel. It's the reason why the book is called Samuel. 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel. But the thing of it is so oftentimes we find ourselves in similar situations where we ask the Lord in bitterness about things. We're like, Lord, please, desperately. We're in this desperate situation. Lord, please help us. Please do this for me. Lord, if you would just do this, Lord, I promise I'll do right. Lord, if you promise. I heard the other day a man say, I was so scared when I got sick. I told the Lord, Lord, if you heal me, I'll never cuss again. I'll never smoke again. He was a comedian. He thought it was funny. And then, he was cussing the whole time. He had a cigarette in his hand. And I thought, wow, they're making a joke, but they don't realize what broken promises that they are making to God. And they would feel some kind of way if God decided to break his promise. But that wasn't the catalyst for this video, but it just made me remember that that video needs to be made. So oftentimes God gives us things that we wanted, and even if we didn't specifically ask him for it, there's the desire of our heart, and God expects something from us, and we didn't give it back to God. And maybe the theme for this video, maybe it shouldn't be broken promises. Maybe it should be give it back or something like that. But I think I'll just leave it at broken promises. But maybe it should be give it back or it's not really yours or something to that effect. Because at the end of it, God gave Hannah the son that she wanted, gave her the thing that she desired the most. But in her love, she said, but I'm going to give it back to you. Once he's weaned, once he's able to live on his own, I'm going to give this thing back to you. Sometimes there are people, those of us who ask something of the Lord and we're frustrated when that thing goes south, and we're trying to figure out, God, why did you let this happen? Why did you let this circumstance take this, this turn? And why did you let that go that way? You ask the Lord for your children. Lord, please let me have these children. And you never turn those children back over to God. You thought they were yours just to keep. You thought they were yours just to be yours. Oh, this is my baby. This is mine. And you never turned them back over to God and gave them back to God. And you wonder why they're just going south and why things in their life is cutting up. And you did that with your finances. Lord, give me this job. I need this job. And you never gave those finances. You never said, Lord, this is yours. I'll do your will with it before I do my will with it. And you started going on trips and vacations and buying this and buying that. And you never gave the finances back to the Lord and said, it's what you want. You can have it. Did it with your health. Lord, if you just give me good health, if you just bless me with good health, I'd serve you. I'd praise your name. And you got good health, and instead of praising the Lord's name, you're in the gym every week and you're taking pictures and selfies and doing all this other stuff. And instead of giving God glory and honor, instead of going out to the church and vacuuming and cleaning and doing things that you can do with that health and that strength, instead of witnessing and walking the streets and talking to people and bringing them and compelling them to be Christian, you're using that good health just to be in vanity. And I can go on and on and on and on. But did you give it back to God? Broken promises. How many times did we ask God, Lord, please let me have this. Lord, please give me that spouse. Oh, please send that spouse to me. Oh, I've been wanting to get married. Oh, I've been wanting that spouse. Oh, Lord, please bring me that spouse. And the Lord brings that spouse, and you didn't turn that spouse back over to him. What does that mean, Brother Demond? Instead of you saying, well, spend time with me, be around me all the time. We need to get some alone time. Instead of doing that, when are we going to pray? How long are we going to fast? Well, when are our fast days this week? Are we reading this? What scriptures are we reading today? Instead of turning that marriage over to God and making God be the center of the marriage, we make the marriage about us and what I'm going to feel. And you haven't talked to me all night. And then wonder why things start to happen in the marriage, and it starts to have rifts and problems and things because we didn't turn it back over to God. We didn't give it back to him. It was his to begin with. He's giving it to you as a lend. He's lending it to us. And we're not turning it back over to him, and we're wondering why things are kind of unraveling and things are kind of being torn apart in our life and in our relationships and in our friendships and with our jobs and with our car. All of a sudden, Lord, please, I want this car, Lord. Please let me get this car. Oh, Lord, I need this car. And as soon as somebody asks you for a ride, no, because if I give you a ride, then that means I'm going to have to wait to take you home. Well, I just want to ride to church. Because then I wasn't even going that direction after service. I was planning on going. Then your car breaks down. Lord, please. Lord, I've been trying to keep up on the oil. Did you give it back to God? Did you render back to God what was God's? Jesus said, give to Caesar what's Caesar's and give to God what's God's. Yes, he was talking about your soul, your heart, and your devotion. Give that to God and give the money and those things to Caesar. But if God gave you something, if there's something you've been desiring, you've been asking God for, and he blessed you and gave it to you, and you just hoarded it and didn't give it back to him. One of the most beautiful things that you see is when you see these videos and stuff online, and when somebody asks their toddler or their young child, they give them a piece of pizza and they say, can I have some? And their young child hands it over to them. Oh my God, what a beautiful thing. And the parent doesn't even want it. They just want to see if they'll give it back to them. They want to see if they love them enough to that thing that they wanted the most. Will you give it back to me? And that's the same way God is. God's saying, will you give it back to me? Will you let me have that back? And some of us, no, that's just mine. And you get stingy, and God's like, okay, well, let's see if you get some pizza again. see if you get some pizza again. See if I give you some more candy. You're ungrateful. You're not appreciative. But how beautiful would it be if we can do the same thing as those little toddlers? That's the reason why Jesus said, except you come as a little child. Come to him with that same humility, that same love, that same innocency, that same purity. And if he says, I want it back, okay, I love you, I'll give you anything. I know I didn't even get a bite of it yet, but if you want it, I love you, I'll give it back to you. I know this is my beloved child, Abraham and Isaac, this is my beloved son. I know you just gave me this son. I waited all these years to get him, but Lord, I love you. I'll give him back to you. If you want him back, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. But some of us, it's, no, I'm the only one that can drive my car. I'm the only one that can raise my child. I'm the only one that can spend my money. I'm the only one that can, be in my house. Like we get stingy with everything that the Lord blesses us with. And we wonder why certain things start to happen. I love you. Be careful of the broken promises. God bless you. Good night.